Hey everybody, and welcome to the point of the week number 7. My name is Will. I'm the founder of the Tennis Tribe, and if you haven't seen the point of the week before, what I do is break down a doubles point every single week and share some tips, strategies, tactics, insights that can help you in your next doubles match and help you win more tennis matches. So in this week's point, we've got a mixed match. It's an 8-5 combo mixed match. And what I want to show you today is one of my favorite questions to ask myself when I'm playing doubles. Self-awareness is super important on the tennis court. You want to be able to make adjustments throughout the match and be able to really kind of outsmart your partner strategically. Outsmart your opponent strategically and work with your partner. And what you want to do is be asking yourself questions throughout the match. So that's what I want to do here today. I'm going to break down all 4 of these players and ask a very specific question that I like to ask myself during tennis matches that help me improve my odds of winning the match. So first of all, I will show you the point here, and then we'll dive into it after that.
Heads up.
All right, so you saw it was a pretty good point there. Again, what I'll do is go through each person here, and really the question I like to ask, and again, self-talk is super important during a tennis match between points. You can't get too emotional. You want to be kind of even keel and talking with yourself, talking with your partner, what can we do differently to continue to improve? And one of the questions I like to ask myself most often during a singles or doubles match is, what could I have done differently on that point to end the point earlier? So maybe there was a particular shot that I could have done something differently to end the point earlier and to win the point and put myself in a better spot. And if you're really good at this, you'll ask yourself this even on points that you win. Even on 8-shot rallies that you win, if you end up with an overhead like this guy does here, you want to still ask yourself, what can I do better? What can I do to make that 8-shot rally a 4-shot rally and win the point earlier? Because if I play a better team, I'm going to need that. So the first thing I'll do is go through the server here. So watch this guy in the blue on the point here. So what could he have done differently on each of these shots? So this is the first shot that he could have done something different. He comes up, hits a pretty decent kind of low chipper drop volley, and he could have just come in behind it. If he comes in behind it, he has a ball right there to put away. He could take this volley out wide for an angle. He could take this right between them for a winner, a number of options, but instead he goes up and chips the ball and then comes back, and now on this next shot he's on his heels. So that's really the big thing. On this next one, obviously he just hits a pretty bad lob. I don't think lob was necessarily the wrong shot there, but he just doesn't hit a very good one. So not a whole lot he could do differently. Maybe if he's not a good lobber, he should try to hit out on that forehand at the girl, because I've been watching a few of these points and she seems to be the weaker player. And then on this next shot, this guy hits a pretty low volley, and here he again tries to lob, which I don't think is the wrong play, but what he should have done differently is, since he knows this guy, or he should know this guy is a left-handed player, he should lob either cross court so that the girl gets an overhead because she's the weaker player of the two, or lob down the middle at both of their backhands. They were both crowding the net, so I think lobbing is okay, but obviously lobbing to the stronger player's forehand is not the ideal solution there. So a lot that this guy could have done differently. I would say if I had to pick one thing, it would be on this first shot, right? It's going to be, that's the previous point right here. If he can come in after this ball, he's going to get, this girl has to pop it up because it's low, and he's going to get a pretty easy volley up there close to the net. So that would be the one thing I would change if I was this guy. Asking myself, what should I have done differently? What could I have done differently to end the point a little bit earlier? So next, let's look at his partner. So that was an opportunity right there. If she was in the middle of the box, rather than hugging this alley here, she could have potentially picked off that first ball for a winner. So that's one thing she could have done differently, just be a little bit more involved in the net. Here she kind of squeezes over to the alley. I don't think that's a bad move if she had kind of faked first and made the opponent kind of see her, but instead she just kind of leans left and is letting her partner kind of take all of the balls here. So really just not a lot of movement. She hasn't moved to the right side of the service box at all. Here she hits a pretty good defensive shot, actually. I don't think there's a whole lot she should have done differently there. So overall, not a whole lot from her. She definitely should be a little more active at the net. If you haven't seen some of my posts on poaching, pinching, and faking, she didn't do those on the serve, so she needs to, I guess, read that post and do one of those things rather than just hugging the alley while her partner's serving. He does have a pretty good serve, and he's serving to the weaker player here, so she should be able to get more involved in the net, force some missed returns. So let's look at the returner for this next one. So the returner hits an okay return there. It's a little bit short, which should give this guy an advantage, but he doesn't really quite take advantage of it. And then on this next ball, she does a good job of hitting a pretty deep ball back here. She sees that the guy's not coming into the net, so she tries to get it pretty deep in the court and does get him on his heels, which changes the point. This is the opportunity that this guy in the blue shirt had to move in. He didn't take advantage of it, and that completely changed the point. And she hits a pretty good deep shot here. But what could she have done differently right here? On this overhead, she's trying to force almost an inside-out overhead down the line to the opponent. And really what she should be doing is turning sideways and just hit a solid overhead here somewhere in the middle of the court, maybe a little bit closer to the weaker player here. But instead she hits this awkward inside-out ball, isn't able to get a lot of power on it because she's trying to hit it with such a weird direction, and this girl's able to get it back on the near side of the net. So it really keeps them in the point, and it works out fine for this team. But you still have to be asking yourself, what could I have done differently? What should I do differently next time or against a better team? And that's the shot for her that she should have hit a different shot. She should have gotten more power on that overhead, made it an easier overhead towards the middle of the court, and this girl probably wouldn't have been able to get it back. And then the rest of the point, she doesn't really do a whole lot. So next we'll look at the opponent, or the other side of the net. We'll look at the net player here. So that's the previous point. So this guy, one thing he could do is poach here. I don't know if I'd recommend it because this guy did have a lot of time on this shot, but he does a pretty good job of pinching. So honestly, I don't think I would change anything there. But for him, what he could do differently is on that volley there. So on that volley, when he sees that his partner has an overhead right there, he needs to be pinching hard at this middle net strap because he sees the ball going to her backhand. She's going to have a really tough time getting it way over here. So he needs to be really closing into this middle net strap, following the ball to this corner. If you didn't see my point last week, I talk about where you need to be in the box, and definitely check that out. But if this guy had been closing and was at this middle nut strap, he would have been able to catch this ball higher, and he would have been able to angle it off here for a winner. The point would have ended 2 shots earlier, but instead he is a little bit deeper in the box here and hits a decent drop shot, but still this guy should not have had an opportunity to stay in the point on this. It should have been a cross-court backhand volley for a winner here with not even a lot of pace, just a good angle if he was on top of the net. And then this last shot, obviously, he does a good job of putting it away. So that would be the one thing for that guy that he could have done to end the point differently. So next time you go out there and play your doubles match, ask yourself that question. Try to ask yourself after each point. If not, maybe after each game, what could we have done differently to win the game quicker, things like that. And you'll learn that a lot of things will keep coming up for you. Maybe you're not close enough to the net on some of your volleys, or maybe you're hitting the lob to the forehand side instead of the backhand side, something like that. And you'll be able to make adjustments as you ask this question throughout the match and continue to improve your odds of winning. If you're down 5-2 in the first set, you can make a good comeback by asking yourself this simple question. So comment below. Let me know what you think. If you have any thoughts, any questions, and also let me know what is your self-talk on the court. What questions do you like to ask yourself between points, between games? What are you discussing with your partner on the court? I'd love to hear it and maybe feature it in one of the future points of the week. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.